Sometimes a ghost story is just a story with a ghost in it. And also it's a ghost story. Crimson Peak is the name of the film. Director Guillermo del Toro is bringing it to us, and it's the story of, well, it's a classic ghost story, kind of from Victorian times, kind of that haunted mansion feel about a family with money and what happens when a clay miner comes into the picture with some ideas. Don't want to give too much away, so keep it as vague as possible because, of course, with mysteries and ghost stories and horror movies like this, that's part of the interest and fun, is kind of seeing it through and what happens in that way. I think the key factor here to talk about right off the bat is the direction of Mr. Del Toro, who is the most visionary director working today. He treats the screen like a canvas, like it should be framed. You could take every frame of this movie, it feels like, put it on your wall and have a gorgeous piece. He understands beauty in visuals. And to see him do a horror movie like this is breathtaking. I mean, scene after scene, you're just going, wow, that is gorgeous. Also a little disturbing, but gorgeous. And I think Del Toro has that thing down to a T at this point, and you can expect that even here in Crimson Peak. The performances are also not that bad. Jessica Chastain does a great job. I think Tom Hiddleston is in there as well, doing some good stuff. Doing well enough to kind of carry that story forward. And again, it has that very classic ghost story kind of feel because of these performances and what he's doing here. Here's the problem. I don't think overall as a story it really works. It just didn't have me. Now, I'm trying to decide how much of this is my inclination to not enjoy horror movies anyway. They're not my favorite kind of movie, so I am numb to a lot of the things that every single horror movie does with the twists and the turns and the jump scares and the gore and those kind of things. So I'm numb to those things in a way that I roll my eyes a little bit, trying to distinguish what is that and what are actual flaws in the movie. And is it something that somebody who likes that kind of stuff is going to see past and enjoy this movie? And I think there's quite a possibility that they will. I just didn't. I didn't care about the characters because it was so muted and the performances were so down the middle of the road. I wasn't invested in them. There wasn't a lot of levity to make me like these people, or even wise choices to make me like these people and root for them. There wasn't a lot to give me something to root for in the relationships or in the characters themselves. The story itself felt kind of boring and middle of the road, so I didn't feel like my mind was engaged very much. So on a story cinematic level, there's not a lot of meat there. On a visual cinematic level, it's one of the most meaty things I've ever seen. So it's kind of got that give and take to it. Your brain's going, oh, I love watching this. And your mind's going, yeah, but what is there to think about? That's kind of how I found myself in Crimson Peak, which overall makes the experience more of a negative one for me, but understanding that if you like horror movies and kind of the horror cliches, that you might have a positive experience with this one. For me, the visuals were enough to bring it up to a C+, and I think that's being generous for me. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. You can check out more reviews and a lot of other things by clicking the cards right up in this corner. Also, we'll get to the best ever challenge here in a second. I want to make sure you know that. But if you click on the cards, you can find a link to the website, yourmoviefriend.com, way to support. If you want to support the channel, very much appreciated. Also, some other links there to some recent reviews you might be interested in seeing, stuff that's come out recently here in the last few weeks. Also, if you would subscribe to the podcast in iTunes or Stitcher, it's SiftPop, S-I-F-T-P-O-P. It is the official podcast of Your Movie Friend. And if you want to follow me on Periscope, I'd appreciate it. Love having conversations with you there. You can just search for Aaron Dicer, A-A-R-O-N-D-I-C-E-R. That's my name. Search for me on Periscope, and we'll hang out after the movies. I Periscope after every movie I go to, and I'm enjoying those conversations very, very much. All right, on to the best ever challenge. This is where you name the best movie ever in a particular category, and also try to identify my choice. I'm going with the best Jessica Chastain movie ever. Now, she hasn't been in a ton. She's a more recent addition to these big movies, but she has been in a lot recently, and a lot of big name movies recently, so a lot to choose from. I'm going to go with the one, here's my clue, that deals more with the horrors of war than the horrors like this horror movie. You can take a guess at mine in the comments. Also leave your answer there as well. And as always, here's 5 extra seconds to hit subscribe